Is it mind over matter? Or is it matter over mind? I'm Alex Ansary, bringing you another podcast. It is March 31st in the year 2018. So I'm going to be mixing a couple of new concepts for you after today's earlier morning and afternoon rants. Thank you for sticking with me. All right. Now, please, hold your applause. So we have this, we have the return of this Chinese satellite. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Okay, I'll try. TIANGONG-1. All right. You know where I'm going with this. The headline from one of my favorite websites, as you know. No, it's not what you're thinking. It's actually spaceweather.com. That's right. One of my favorite websites. Space weather delays the return of TIANGONG-1. The European Space Agency has just issued a new forecast for the decay of China's Tiangong. You know, I just make a little sound effect here. Where's my tuning fork? Where is Alex's tuning fork? But that's right. I got my tie-dye shirt and everything. Let's get down and boogie. I'm only a few feet from a rock in the Himalayan sea salt. Okay, so we have space weather delaying the return of TIANGONG. And hopefully it's not going to cause a massive pandemic. Hopefully China's not going to demand that they enter the U.S. mainland to get their satellite. Hopefully it's not something else either. So where are we going to go with this in a new way that you weren't expecting? Well, if you've seen my solar flare presentation, you've heard me drop the name Burl Payne. Burl Payne's been looking at the effect of geomagnetic storms over human behavior. And right before the solar peak and right after the solar peak, and I would say in my observations, quite a bit of activity after the solar peak. War starting with all that energy that's been built up like a release. Doesn't mean that we can't do positive things with it, but there's a reason why we also, I think, see volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, ways in which the earth, like the humans, are showing increased activity, an increase in storms, an increase in lightning in around periods of geomagnetic storms. And what lightning I remember seeing when I was in Lake Dallas, which is an hour north of Dallas, Texas, 45 minutes. Redneck suburbs. I'll tell you what, man, that place was, I met some interesting people. I had more allies during those years in Dallas, Texas. But the point is, I've been looking at this for a number of years. And so we have a possible connection with the satellite going down as a result of, if we're not looking at sabotage, hacking, space wars, if we're to look at nature alone and geomagnetic storms, that could be a contributing factor. I've written about this for over 10 years, or 10 years ago. I wrote an article on the Earth's weakening magnetic field and the solar cycles, and the risk to not only electronics, but satellites were mentioned. And so this has basically become mainstream news. Burl Payne in 1979, right? It's questionable what the results were. I wasn't there, but I was born in 80. That was an interesting time. That was also solar maximum. So that period going 1978, get down on it from 79 to 80. I mean, that was the solar peak. To get to the next solar peak, you're looking at 1989, 1990, 1991. And so, you know, all that, you know, those wacky pants that you saw, probably influenced by the solar maximum. You know, Bobby Brown, the phenomena of vanilla ice, solar max, solar max, solar max. I mean, it just the fads, and some of them are mindless. You know, you get this groupthink bubble going on. Ice, ice, baby, shut the fuck up. So fads, music, you know, different eras, but fads. And I want you to think about that. Trends. A lot of people don't think about the solar cycles that go with that. So we see a lot of things happening here on the planet. And even during a solar minimum, because of a thinning Earth's magnetic field, more of that cosmic radiation, not just solar flares, are affecting those satellites, electronics. And so we could be seeing more of this. In 1979, Burl Payne was, I'm going to have to read what's on his webpage. Let me try to give you a synopsis, and then I'll read a little bit from his site. But the idea was a collective meditation where people put their minds together and they moved it to a stable place. Now, the results were not quote unquote successful, but here's a little bit of speculation from Alex Ansary. Maybe they intended to move it back up to orbit, but maybe it was really better for it to, for it to be stable, which was part of their affirmation, for it to fall down into the Earth and burn into the Earth's atmosphere instead of flying around. Maybe that was the more natural way for the atmosphere to reject that satellite and not push it further up to higher orbit. Maybe that wasn't the will or the higher will or the Creator's will. So maybe having our will down correctly, right, with something higher than our own ego or our own understanding of what it should be. And so they were involved in this meditation, and he reports moderate success. And maybe that was from a certain period of time to where they were moving what was called Skylab. And again, we're looking at June 21st, 1979, and this was during a period of the summer solstice in which this meditation was taking place for 5 minutes. Again, with the intention, now I'm reading from Burl.com, with the intention of shifting to an alternate reality where Skylab is stable and secure in a higher orbit. So that was their intention. So what if they got stable and secure, but not a higher orbit, but rejected from where it shouldn't be for whatever reason? He continues, our goal is to have at least 1 million people participating in the experiment around the entire planet. Psychokinesis, the ability to move matter with the power of thought, is an established lab fact. It is an exciting and grand human experiment to see whether or not it can be done on a large scale. The synchronistic and resonant action of many minds united in thought and desire may produce extraordinary and unpredictable effects. Even if you have never noticed that you have PK ability, you can help. 1 drop of water will not make a wave, but 1 million drops can make a mighty splash. I'm going to pause from reading. Do you believe in the power of prayer? Do you believe in the collective power of prayer? So I believe the will of the people is key, but it's more powerful when it's aligned with that of the divine, as opposed to being opposed to the will of the divine. If that makes sense. But I'm trying to make sense instead of be confusing. So people could try to will something that's not meant to be and not understand why they're not getting results, because their will is not meant to be more dominant than the will of nature or spirit or that of the Creator, but really that's all one and the same. So we should seek to be in unity with nature instead of seek to be against the will of nature. So, I'm just going to spit this out now. We have a Chinese satellite crashing to Earth. Ching, tang, tong. And so, the will of the people could be applied to it landing in a safe place without a lot of people dying. We wouldn't want to see this land in, for example, a major U.S. city. And maybe the water, maybe sending it to the ocean may not be the best place for it. What would be the best place for it? Hey, here we have these words, safe and secure. Somewhere safe and secure. Where could it land safe and securely? Maybe we leave that up to nature and just leave the coordinates. Just step away from the Ouija board. Step away from the map of the earth. No, don't point at Afghanistan. Oh, come on. Let's be nice. Jeez. I'm just playing. Nope. Don't be pointing at that city going, go get damn lip. No, man. Don't point at the south. That's not fair. Somewhere stable. Somewhere secure. I mean, you can partake in the idea of prayer, or praying for the American people, or praying for the people in South Africa, those people find safe passage. or you could pray for the different people around the world, or the people of Afghanistan, especially those that are involved in terrorism, to live free one day and see their kids grow up without their legs blown off. So we can apply our prayers for people around the world, but also understand thy will, not mine, be done. But I do believe the Creator responds to prayer. So we can pray for our nation at this time. And that wherever this, and whatever is supposed to happen, thy will, not ours, be done. But if there is any power to intention, let this satellite go where it's safe and secure, where it will safely enter our atmosphere. And no harm will come to these dense population centers. And other people are going to apply their will and ideas in another way. Maybe they want that. But maybe we can do something higher. You know, I felt like I was pushing the bear. Going to the area of putting our thoughts together even during a solar flare. I remember an old friend that would talk about this when we would have our conversations about solar flares, putting our minds together, and he would get really animated. And I think I recorded some of what he had to say when he was over here in the shed about his own intelligent thoughts on that particular topic. And although we had our disagreements, when we would talk about solar flares and the idea of people using the solar flares, because there's a reason why they try to mind screw us, try to keep this clean in the media and in this world, and manufacture events, because our thoughts are powerful. So if they can take us away from creating for ourselves and protecting ourselves with our minds and others and praying for others, if they could take us away from that and put us in fear, well, they think they're moving ahead in the world. And maybe on a level they are. So we shouldn't forget the power of prayer, of thought. You know, take a look every now and again down the comment section or down in the description. Sometimes I add like reference links. Like, for example, with regards to Billy Jack, there was videos that I left down there that can link you to the recent interview that he did. I'm going to look for the video, and maybe I'll just mirror it. But I think I recorded it in 2015, and it directly dealt with that theme of people, accessing the information, and you can even sign up for a text alert from spaceweather.gov. And when you know there's a really big geomagnetic storm, you may notice that your sleep is disrupted. And by the way, we also have a full moon. So when we have a full moon and a geomagnetic storm, when those forces combined, that potentially could be even more energy that we can harness. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is, I don't think it's so much a geomagnetic storm that's happening at the moment. It's space weather. So there could be things that aren't affecting the Earth's magnetic field, if you will, causing a geomagnetic storm, but space weather out there, if you will, that is at the moment it's affecting. Let me read the article again, or the announcement. They've entered a delay for the entry of this falling, potentially hazardous, explosive Chinese satellite. They've issued a new forecast. The re-entry window is hours wide and centers on April 1st at Universal Time 2300. I'm not sure exactly what time this is, but, for you and for me, you can go online and calculate and translate, do some math, how far away your time zone is from 2325 UTC, Universal Time Code, which I believe is centered in and around Greenwich or London, England. One of the two, or both. So this is later than expected. You see, so something unexpected, something of nature, like space weather, can intervene. Whether we're dealing with Newton's theory or something to that effect, the ball's going to keep rolling at a particular speed unless some type of object steps in its way or other changes to the cosmos. These would be other changes to the cosmos. Is nature responding? Are we connected to the geomagnetic storm? Could human beings create a geomagnetic storm or space weather? to slow down this satellite and give it some time to think about where it's going to land. I think I'm getting onto something here. Alert David Icke. I'm being serious, but I'm joking. But I mean, really, on a larger level, and we've seen a number of people do or engage in collective meditations. And a lot of people have just done it for like world peace, but like, what about like doing it for something specific during a geomagnetic storm? Now, I will let you know that there was a hit piece in 1979 on Dr. Burl Payne, and it's matter wins again over mind, because again, they want to move it up to higher orbit, but it came back down into the Earth. So what they do is they pretty much document how large this meditation was, that people in different places were involved in it, but they weren't successful. So science, their idea of science is to step in and tell us what's possible and what's not possible. And let me ask you, how much have we advanced with our understanding of ourselves, and how many scientific articles have we now read, not only since 1979, but in the last few years? Is our Earth a matrix? Or our reality, our universe, a holographic reality? You know, at one point there was a fringe book written by Michael Talbot, which I have over there to my right, and now this is becoming like a regular article. Is our world a simulation? You know, and we've seen evidence now of our thoughts having like an effect over matter, including water molecules. But I just think that people have a long way to go to see what's possible and what is not possible. Somebody may think something is absolutely impossible, but enough people are praying sincerely with our hearts. And granted that there is good collective karma. If there is not good collective karma, and it's already attracting some sort of event because of something, or a group, or a place, right? Then we can sit here and we can meditate all day long for that satellite to just calmly land somewhere in the sand. But if it's the Creator's will for a karmic return in some way, shape, or form, then we may not be able to send it somewhere safe and secure, but we can try. We can try. And so I suggest that we do that. We will think about these things more and more. The idea of manifesting a potentially specific positive outcome during a geomagnetic storm.